Sports Limelight, Episode 3.
Hey, all right.
How's it going, Drew?
Good. How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing great, thank you. Good to be back. We took, 2 weeks off?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it gets busy around the holidays.
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
So good to be back. We
Yeah.
have several key things to touch on today. We've got a lot of NFL, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We'll touch on the state of the Giants and the Bills. We've got NBA fantasy talk.
Hey.
Because you may be preparing for your fantasy draft. We certainly are.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll see what else we get into. But first, I wanted to cover this from the LA Times.
What's that, Bill? What do you got in your hand?
A rash of tuba thefts at Southland high schools.
Did you say tuba?
Who's a fire with tuba?
That's right, Drew. I did say tubas. Southern California school had all of their tubas stolen, worth a combined $13,000. Nothing else, only tubas.
Wow, interesting. Or in the band world, a sousaphone, I believe.
Oh, yes. The article says that. Very nice.
Yeah, I was in band.
Hey, all right. An insider. Yeah. I didn't know you brought that to the table, so.
I did. It's all right here. The chips are on the table, man.
Learning new things about co-hosts every day.
You should see me play my skin flute.
Oh, this show just became rated R from rated PG. So we got the tuba story. Really, honestly, just to play that sound clip of Tourette's guy.
Oh, I thought he was in the studio. I was so excited.
He sure sounds
Mr.
good.
Tourette's guy.
Old Danny. I think we talked on the first show about was he or was he not really dead, and did they bring him back and make more videos. So let's get into something a little more substantial now. NFL after Week 14. Giants Cowboys, certainly the story of the weekend.
Holy cow.
Not just for me, but
What a game.
unbelievable. What a comeback. The Giants offense never out of it, and I feel like they believe they're never out of it with Eli Manning at quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And they came back. It was 34-22 Dallas with 5 minutes left.
Interesting stuff right there. Man, I love Decembers because the holidays and the Cowboys always seem to falter there.
I've said this to Giant fan friends. I hope Tony Romo is the quarterback of the Cowboys for 10 more years. He's just good enough that they'll never replace him, but just bad enough that they'll never win anything substantial, and he'll always blow it when it really matters.
Oh, man. Did you see that play where he overthrew Miles Austin? That would have sealed it.
That was it, yeah. The one time I've been pretty critical of Giants defensive coordinator Perry Fewell, never blitzing, always just rushing 3 or 4 and giving the opposing quarterback forever. Eventually somebody gets open.
Right.
So 3rd and long, just he finds somebody for a first down. The Giants defense can't get off the field.
Right.
The one time Fewell brought a big blitz, I think he rushed 7 or 8 guys. So what do they call it? Cover 0, behind the corner, so man-to-man. Austin just torches Aaron Ross, and luckily ball was overthrown. I still like the call of the blitz there, but I don't understand, there's no middle ground with Fewell. It's either rush 3 or 4 or rush 8.
Right.
It's maybe rush 5 sometimes. You got the front 4. You've got Matthias Kiwanuka playing linebacker, who's a natural pass rusher.
Well, maybe the rush also made Tony Romo kind of get a little shaky there and just threw it out there just to see if Miles could get it.
It did the trick. Who knew actually blitzing once would provide a positive result? So I still like the call.
Yeah, rush is a good thing in more ways than one.
Rush is always good. Yes, you are correct, sir. So now we'll get back to Cowboys-Giants in a moment and what it means for the playoff picture. You, Drew, are a Buffalo Bills fan. What has happened with the Bills the last month or so? Rewind, they looked so promising.
Yeah.
We talked in the first episode about going into a big game with the Jets for the lead in the AFC East.
Yeah, they were 5-3 at the time, so they lost 6 straight.
6 straight.
Yeah.
What's been the main reason that you've seen?
Probably just, lack of everything, I guess. I know Ryan Fitzpatrick he's a solid quarterback. I mean, he would probably start with pretty much almost any other team out there. I know they lost their running back, Fred Jackson, so that was probably the biggest hit. But, defensive-wise, they're not great, but I just think they're almost there. I just think they kind of got a little too confident at the halfway point of the season, thinking they could probably squeak it out there. But when you're in the same division as the Patriots, and I know the Jets, they always have a good defense, solid defense. So
now, if you could go back, you might know which week it was in between where Ryan Fitzpatrick signed his contract extension.
Right.
If you could go back, and if you're the Bills management, would you still sign that, or seeing what's happened since, would you maybe reconsider?
No, I think you keep faith with your quarterback. I think you hang on to him
So no matter what, he's the franchise quarterback
yeah,
going
I believe
forward.
So, yeah.
How old is he? Do you know?
I think he's in his late 20s, right? He's not too old.
Okay, so yeah, with quarterbacks, they seem to be at their best, like in their early 30s. So you're getting his prime years there.
Yeah.
And they don't have to look at a quarterback in the draft or risk, a bust in the first round.
Yeah,
so.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Because I think their offense is, they're getting themselves together. They're trying to learn the offense with Fitzpatrick there. So why mess that up? Why change that up? So.
Yeah, you could risk having a kind of situation that the Redskins have, where they went with McNabb last year, and although it's one quarterback move, you're kind of wasting 2 years there because they could have drafted a quarterback that year instead of going with McNabb.
Right.
And so you don't have anyone behind him, and then you got Rex Grossman and John Beck for a few games. So that's a mess. It's better to have a guy you're going to stick with and develop no matter what.
Right.
So all faith in Fitzpatrick then.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Good. How about those Broncos, huh?
They just keep winning, isn't it?
I say Broncos and not Tebow.
I like that. Yeah, that's good. He's a big part of it, of course. He's the quarterback, and he's at his best in clutch situations.
Yeah.
But people seem to either go too far in one direction or the other. Like it's all Tebow, or I can't stand Tebow.
Yeah, right.
For football reasons or
God's
non-football
on his side
reasons
or whatever.
Yeah.
So. But no, I think he's a solid player. Or as Urlacher says, a good running back.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
He
said that.
Yeah, after the Bears beat him, or the Bears lost, he was bitter about his loss, so he told the media he's a good running back. But as far as the Broncos, I like their coach, and I like how they've taken Tim Tebow and worked around his style of play. Made him kind of the offensive guy. So, but I mean, they have a solid defense, and obviously their kicking game is phenomenal. So.
Oh, yeah, 59-yarder by Prater last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love what you said there about the coach and the coaching staff. John Fox, he deserves so much credit for, instead of trying to force Tebow into his system or, a typical NFL system, he saw what he had, and he's tailoring it to Tebow's strengths, and they're just going to ride it for as long as it can go this year.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know how long this will last. I'm sure teams will catch on eventually, but...
Yeah,
couldn't pick the perfect time of the season to do it.
Maybe the best comparison is the Wildcat offense, which we'd hardly see anymore. So.
Oh yeah, with the Dolphins, they did that a couple of years ago with Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams.
Yeah, so. It was great for a while. But on one hand, I think eventually defenses will catch up. But on the other hand, it's been Tebow's 7-1 as a starter now, so 8 games, half a season. A part of me thinks if defenses were going to figure it out, they would have figured it out by now.
That's true. Yeah, they are NFL teams.
The flip side of John Fox and being so adaptive with the Broncos is sort of the coaches. Rex Ryan, kind of known as a defensive guru, couldn't devise a defense really to stop Tebow, especially on their game-winning drive against the Jets.
Right.
So going forward, do you see the Broncos winning the AFC West?
If I was a betting man, I would say yes.
And you're not a betting man.
That's right.
Yeah, they've got
I'm a working man.
That's what you are. So they've got the 1-game lead over Oakland, and yeah, I agree. I don't see Oakland really. That whole AFC wildcard picture behind the Jets, where Bengals, Titans, Raiders at 7-6, they all just seem sort of like fading 8-8 finish type of teams.
Well, remember when the Bengals were 6-2 and leading the AFC?
Yes.
I told you in week 1 that they would lose. They would go 8-8. They would lose 6 games in the last half season. So
you heard it here on this show. Drew with the prediction in episode 1, proving to be right about the Bengals so far. They lost to Pittsburgh twice, right? Yep. You said that would happen, and they had Baltimore left as well. So
the only team they've beaten since week 8 was the Browns.
Wow.
There you go.
Not saying a whole lot there. Yep. My brother, a big Jets fan, I remember telling him a couple of weeks ago, he was kind of concerned about the Jets not making the playoffs. And I told him a couple of weeks ago, and I'll stick with this prediction, that I just didn't see the Jets not making the playoffs. I didn't see any scenario where they would not make the playoffs, just looking at the teams behind them.
Teams are just kind of falling down, just kind of crumbling in front of them, rather than kind of pushing their way up. Yeah,
you figure this whoever doesn't win the AFC North would be one wild card.
Right.
And just by default, the Jets would be the other.
Yeah, we could have, what do we have? We could have 4 13-3 teams coming out of the AFC.
Wow.
Because Ravens and Steelers have played each other twice already, so.
Patriots and Texans, the other two, 10-3.
Yeah.
How about the Texans just keep winning in spite of their quarterback going down?
Yeah, it's very interesting. They have a good defense. They're number 2 in the league, I believe. And like I said, you don't really need a good, solid overall quarterback to win games.
I haven't seen T.J. Yates play yet, but he seems to fit that mistake-free, keep the train on the tracks type of quarterback.
Yeah.
And with that running game they have, good formula.
Yeah. So how about on the NFC side? Who do you see winning the NFC East?
NFC East. Oh, I don't want to dare say I'm confident in the Giants winning, but the remaining games home to Washington should be on paper finally a big win for the Giants, but I know better than that. They just never can have an easy win. Redskins still playing hard in spite of being out of the race.
Yeah, well, they have a good run game with Roy Halou.
Roy Halou, rookie.
I'm not sure their passing is as good as the Cowboys, but
it's not. But Rex Grossman, play against the Giants, and you look like a great quarterback. They're meeting in Week 1. Rex Grossman had a career game, and the Redskins beat the Giants. So you just never know. They then play at the Jets.
Yeah.
And then
Which
home
is
to Dallas.
Game.
So 3 games remaining in Giants Stadium. Yes, I will continue to just call it Giants Stadium, no matter what the name.
Instead of the New Meadowlands.
That's right. Dallas, they could still make the playoffs. It was looking like the NFC East, it's division or bust. But with Detroit kind of falling off, they did squeak a win out over Minnesota, thanks largely to a non-face mask call there at the end.
Huh.
I think Atlanta's going to be a wild card. They're 8-5.
Right.
Detroit 8-5. Dallas 7-6. I think Dallas has a game with the Eagles remaining as well.
They have, yeah, they do.
If we had a research department, that'd be. Oh, they have Tampa Bay. I remember it now. They have Tampa Bay, who sort of looks like they are quitting on their season.
Wow.
With 7 losses in a row.
You got the Bears. They're 7-6, so they have a semi shot. But and the Cardinals.
I don't know how much longer Cutler's going to be out. Forte is out now as well. I think think this is it for the Bears. I think it's 8-8 maybe, and I think they're finished.
Well, the Packers are still undefeated.
Still undefeated. Giants gave them a good run a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
The Raiders did not give them a good run last week. It was 46-16 or something like that. 44. Yeah. Who do you like for those 2 NFC wild cards?
Let's see. I will take the Lions. I think their offense will get them into the playoffs. 2 more wins will probably do it. And I think the Cowboys is probably a good bet. But don't count out the Cardinals. They're 2 games out.
So you would see Atlanta as that first team missing the playoffs?
I think so, yeah. I really haven't followed them much, but they were good last year, weren't they? 13-3. Yeah, they were the top seed last year.
Yeah, they lost at home to Green Bay in the playoffs last year.
They just seem to have like the perfect setup for a good offense. They have the talent. They have a young quarterback, Matt Ryan, and Roddy White. He's a solid performer.
Yeah, Julio Jones as well, which they were criticized for that, giving up too much for a receiver in the last draft. Atlanta's remaining schedule, Jacksonville at home, and then at New Orleans, and then home to Tampa Bay. So they could end up with 10 wins.
They could,
And like you said, I think 10 wins is the marker to make the NFC playoffs.
Okay. Oh, and that's the case, then neither the Giants or the Cowboys, they both can't make it.
Right. If Detroit gets 10 as well, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Do you want to transition to a little NBA fantasy basketball after the break here?
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll get you into the next segment with a fitting song. Drew was in the mood for 80s, and I was in the mood for a fantasy-related song topic, so this really fits both.
Perfect.
We'll be back on the Sports Limelight.
It's awful hard to try to make love alone.